Nevada whiskey. Let's talk a little bit about it. So in the state of Nevada, there's a few distilleries, not a ton, but Frey Ranch being one of the big ones up in Fallon, Nevada, which is in northern Nevada.
Well, that begs the question: why are there so few distilleries in Nevada?
I think a lot of it is just the climate's really tough. It's really hot in the summer.
I know how I feel when I'm left outside and it's 115 degrees.
Yeah. So what's interesting about Frey Ranch in particular is they do everything. I mean, they grow the grains, they mill them.
Yes, they do. What is it? Couple generations of farmers up in Fallon.
Yep, couple generations. So they grow all their own grains. Said they do all their own milling, all their own distillation, the maturing.
Whereas Smoke Wagon
out of Las Vegas, they are an NDP.
Yes.
So
non-distilling producer. From guess who?
Yep, they source. I still believe they contract distill through MGP in Indiana. So the main difference is obviously Frey Ranch. It's going to be a 4-grain. So
yes.
they've got your corn, your rye, your wheat, and your malted barley. Where what Aaron's doing at Smoke Wagon is basically contract distilling, sourcing from MGP, and his offerings can vary pretty wildly based on, especially the rye, is based on whatever mash bill that he wants at
Do you enjoy the malted rye or the other ryes that they have on offer? I think it's called Distillers Select.
Yeah, that's been some of my favorite are the Distillers Select. That's going to be more of like a Kentucky rye.
Yes.
Right? So they're going to have corn in it, where some of his other offerings have either very little or... I don't remember it. I'd have to really think about it. I don't remember if he's ever used like a 95.5 rye.
I don't think he has.
So his ryes tend to be a little sweeter, but both very, very good. So when people, when they used to come to the store, like, oh, I don't like MGP, I don't like Smoke Wagon because it's MGP or whatever. It's like, it's really good stuff. And especially some of his single barrels.
Well, we were talking about that the other day, how people poo-poo MGP, they lambast.
Yeah, and it's easy. You don't have to think about it like, anybody that sources is no good. But I would disagree vehemently, because what the fun thing, since we're on Smoke Wagon right now, the fun thing about what he does, obviously, when he gets his barrels in, they are still going to mature in Las Vegas.
And they mature very quickly
because of how hot it is, right? And then when he blends for whether it be the just like the uncut unfiltered or like the straight bourbon or the
straight being their introductory.
Yeah, their intro for $25.
$28,
$25.
Really quite reasonable.
And very good. But the point I'm making is that those barrels, just because they come from Indiana, they actually spend time in Las Vegas. So when he tastes through his barrels, the ones that he thinks need more time, they can sit for a couple years. So it's not like he's getting the whiskey and then just blending it. Right. So you are going to get, and that's what I like about the sourcing, is that you can really see what MGP does in different states, right? Whether it be in Vegas, whether our Texas people that are sourcing MGP, what Texas does to whiskey,
So damn humid.
What we just talked about the other day up in the Northeast,
yes,
right up in the Rhode Island area, how the whiskey matures up there. But these are really good ones. Now, to be fair, these are the Frey Ranch. The two we have are really hard to find because they're single barrel store picks.
But Frey Ranch does have regular offering.
Yeah, and I've seen
they don't do only single.
And I've seen it more around here recently in Georgetown, where for some reason I haven't seen just their standard straight bourbon, but I've seen the uncut a lot more. So that's going to be uncut. For those that don't know, it's barrel proof.
Yes.
So there's no water added to it to proof it down. So you're going to get the full expression.
I also sometimes see unfiltered on that. What does that mean?
So so
you like the Smoke Wagon, it's called uncut unfiltered.
Right. So basically what they're doing is like the uncut unfiltered is just, once they dump those barrels, there's going to be a little bit of a strain.
Yeah.
Right? Because you got to catch the char from the barrel. Right?
Because if you find that in your bottle, it would be...
It would get
gross.
You get floaty bits, and yeah, I'm guessing barrel char doesn't taste very good. But then just the unfiltered part is that some distilleries will do like a chill filtration, where they're basically, it's kind of on the same line as like what Jack Daniel's does with their charcoal mellowing. Right, so they're taking off some of the some of the round notes on there that, people like me, that's what I love. I want to see what it tastes like. Just don't add anything to it. Don't play with it. Just, get it out of the barrel, get it into a bottle, and get it in my belly.
Speaking of which, before we transition back to Frey Ranch, this bottle has an interesting story. Why is it clear, and why does it have a white label?
Years ago,
it was during the lockdown blues, wasn't it? 2020?
Is it 23 it says?
It's 21.
21. So back then, this is right after COVID. Smoke Wagon, all their bottles are custom made. Super, super cool offerings. But
dark amber.
Yep. They ran out of glass. They couldn't get the dark amber glass anymore.
Because the whole world had been shut down.
Because everything got shut down. So the only thing they could get was the white or the clear glass. So that's why I bought one of the uncut and one of the regular offering, just because I knew it was cool.
And a nice attention to detail. They changed the wax color
Changed
to
the wax color.
be appropriate for the bottle.
Mm-hmm.
There's also one of these where the wax stamp was put on the wrong side of the bottle.
No, that was the rye that I bought.
Yeah.
And the label got put on backwards.
Oh, it was the label.
It was the label. Yeah. So that's why that'll never get opened, because that was a mistake that wasn't supposed to happen.
That's a fun relic, right?
And I was lucky enough to buy it, but yeah, you won't find the clear bottles anymore, but which is fine, because what's inside the regular bottles is really good.
Frey Ranch is usually pretty funky because it's a 4
grain. Because it's a 4 grain. So a lot of people that I've talked to over the years, that's kind of one of the things that sometimes they're not the biggest fans.
I understand it's complex, it's complicated. It's like if you see me do anything on the computer, you feign, I gotta pick you up and
absolutely,
I gotta pick you up and feign you off.
Yeah, absolutely. But for me, it was kind of, and it was a little. There was a little funkiness in the beginning when I first started drinking Frey Ranch, but after a while, if you stick with it, and you tend to learn to like those flavors. Mm-hmm.
Well, they're more complex.
Yeah, there's just more going on. Yeah. So if you've never had Frey Ranch before, these would not be where I would start yet. But definitely start if you can find it with just the regular.
But in a pinch, the barrel proof would be just fine, and then you could water it down.
Correct. So if you can't find a regular Frey Ranch, go ahead and pick up the barrel proof. You can add some water to it in your glass and proof it to where you like, and then that way you can experience what they're doing.
So it really is interesting.
Yeah.
Like you mentioned, they grow all their own grains. So you get that, what do the French call it?
Terroir or something like that, yeah.
The influence of the land up in Fallon, Nevada. And Fallon, Nevada is much cooler. It's still very dry, but it's much cooler.
Well, it's a lot.
Las Vegas.
Yeah, it's drastically different from Vegas because because they're up there, they get like all 4 seasons. So they get cold, they get,
they're
spring, fall.
Still being in Nevada, they're 4 very aggressive seasons.
Correct. So it's really cool to see, what they're doing, and the nice thing about Frey Ranch is they're getting big enough to where, like a lot of other whiskey tubers and stuff have been to Fallon.
Yeah.
Where years ago when I started drinking this, our local store guy, Isa, he would just run up there and do barrel picks and stuff, and so it's kind of like, we knew about them in Vegas, but nobody else kind of.
Smoke Wagon was like that for a bit too, but now Smoke Wagon's everywhere.
Smoke Wagon's everywhere.
It's everywhere that I've been.
Yeah, but it's cool because now a lot of whiskey tubers have been up there, and you can actually like see the still and see the farms that they're actually growing their grains on, and the rick houses and stuff. So if you're interested, you can find that stuff online.
We should go do that.
Yeah, we'll do that one day if they'll have us. But yeah, so Nevada.
If they'll take it.
Yeah, Nevada, cool state. Not a lot of whiskey out of it
because it's so violent of a
because it's an aggressive climate. But that's where I got started with whiskey, was in Nevada. So it always is going to hold a special place in my heart.
I like Nevada in general.
Yeah.
By the by, what's in the glass?
That's one of the private barrels that we poured just for fun.
Aged 7 years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
From the specs.
7 years old. It's a specs pick. We've got another couple picks up there as well. But, you know, if you can find these are really good. They're just a little expensive. Whereas, like for his normal offerings, you know, the straight is, you know, sub $30. Then he has a Desert Colt.
Yes, which is formerly Uncut the Younger.
Yeah, with some tweaks to it.
With
The Desert Colt is just the barrel proof version of the straight.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's got the 100 proof small batch, and then the uncut unfiltered. So whereas this, you know, they've only got, you're not going to find the wheat. Like, it's not happening.
Not right now.
It's not happening, no. But at least with Smoke Wagon, if nobody's ever had it, you know, you can start with the super low proof offering.
For a reasonable price, too.
Very reasonable. The barrel proof is like $5 more than the standard offering. And then the small batch and then the uncut unfiltered, prices are coming down on those lately, especially around here, because they're delicious, and you can actually go through and literally taste everything he's doing. And then if you're lucky enough to live in a place where, you know, they have access to some cool store picks, I always tell people, don't sleep on those, because they're some of the best things that come out of Las Vegas. They're amazing. So try this real quick, and then we'll wrap it up. Cheers. I mean,
it's excellent.
What's not to love?
Very bready.
Yeah, well, that's a proofy gal though too. I mean, it's 100. I believe it's 120 proof. I can't. Not 120. Yeah, 120 proof.
Yeah, just shy.
Just shy. Yeah, but those are so good. Like I said, they're a little pricey, so we don't drink them a lot. But you know,
well, when the money was coming in more consistently, we did drink that a lot.
Yeah,
I believe that was a weekly offering.
Well, the uncut was for sure. Yeah, those picks are hard to get. But if you can find one, definitely find one.
Pick it up. I'm a big fan of Smoke Wagon. I like what they do. Aaron is really, really good at his job.
Yeah, both distilleries.
And Prairie Ranch is fantastic.
Prairie Ranch is great. So if you haven't had anything from Nevada, if you find these things out in the wild, pick them up.